Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dariush's Fireside Chat. Today, in this episode, I want to introduce you to Jeff Smith, who's a dear friend of mine. I met Jeff as he did a keynote speech, and he just blew me away. I had an interest in a thing called KPIs, Key Performance Indicators, and I got to know that Jeff is a world-renowned expert on KPIs, and he has actually written what I believe today is a world record of the biggest selling KPI book in the history, right, Jeff?
It is. Thank you, Darius. Good afternoon, good morning, and welcome wherever you are in the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here and accepting our invitation in your busy diary.
Oh, it's nice to pop into your office. What a beautiful office you have here.
Thank you
Credit
so
to
much.
you.
Thank you. Jeff, so the audience get to know a little bit about you. Can you tell us where you come from, your background? I know, were you born in the UK?
I was born in the UK, yes. So I'm from the centre of the UK. You probably wouldn't detect that from my accent. That's gone a long time. So most people think, oddly, I'm from South Africa. For me, I don't sound anything South African. But I think what's happened is I've travelled the world so much and I speak to many different cultures. I try to neutralise my accent so it's understandable for many, many people to understand.
So you worked at it. It's been a conscious decision.
I worked at it initially, and then now it's just found its own level, and this is what I'm stuck with now.
Yes. So you were born around the Birmingham area?
Yes, that's correct.
And then did you go to college, university?
No, I didn't actually. So I was this quiet guy at school at the back that no one noticed or anything like that. I hated school, but my passion then was music. So from about the age of 12, I was playing keyboards and things like that. And I really wasn't interested in anything else at all. So I left school. I then started as a mechanical and electrical engineer, and I went
nothing to do with music. I thought
Nothing
you
to
were
do
going
with
to say, I
music,
played in a
yeah.
band and...
Well, it's an interesting story. How the next chapter unfolds was quite fascinating. So I took an apprenticeship as a mechanical and electrical engineer, and I went to college and did all my things and got my papers and got qualified. So, but that started at the age of 16, and I was earning per week £7.91.
You were rich.
So
What did you do with all that money?
I was talking to Dariush, so
yeah, how skint I was. I was on a plane yesterday, and they sold me a Kit Kat for €2.50.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was my income for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Do you remember Maltesers were like 10 pence
Yeah.
a pack?
I remember before pence. I remember the old currency.
Yes, wow, amazing.
So
70,
of my
70, in the 70s they changed the currency, right?
yeah, 72.
Shillings, pounds and shillings.
1972.
Yeah, amazing.
So at 16, I'm
£7.
yeah, I was then 16 in 1976.
Yes.
So what happened? Half of it went to my mum for my food and keep and things like that. Yeah, and then I had £1 left because I bought a car, and it was petrol, and I had enough for one journey a week, and that was to go see my girlfriend. So I could go see her one day a week, and then come back. That was it. That's all I could
But you
afford.
had a sense of responsibility at 16, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not many people at 16 earn the money and give half of it to their mum.
Yeah.
Single mum, or you had both?
No, I have wonderful parents. Sadly, they're both gone now. But my parents, my best friends, they're amazing people. Love them dearly, and taught me a lot.
Were they self-employed? Were they employed? Where did you get this?
Well, my father was actually the manager of the largest machine shop in Europe, and he had a hand in building and solving the problems for the Thames Barrier, the bridge over the River Humber, bridge over the Bosphorus. Real clever, intelligent guy, but didn't understand money. So I won't say we were poor, I'd say we were broke, because I think poor is a state of mind, broke is a state of pocket.
So he earned it, but he didn't manage it.
No, he didn't earn it.
Right.
It was just
he just didn't know his worth.
Well, here's an interesting thing. So there's a couple of stories I'll share with you now
Please.
that overlap. So I leave school, I become qualified engineer, £7.91 a week. And one day I'm up this ladder in the snow fixing a crane, and I have an electric shock. And I think, what on earth am I doing here? What am I doing this for? For £7.91. And even when you fully qualified then, the money wasn't great. And then it was my parents' 25th wedding anniversary. And they hired a club, and all the people from the place where my dad worked. So there was about 200 people there. And they had a band. So they had a keyboard player, a drummer, a guitarist, and things like that. Well, I don't know whether you know, but there's a special song for the anniversary, the wedding anniversary. It's called the Anniversary Waltz. And what happens, the married couple who've been married 25 years take to the dance floor on their own and dance to this anniversary waltz. Everybody stands around and claps, and then everybody joins them in the dance. So I made a secret. I went to the band and said, can I play the anniversary waltz for my mum and dad, please? And they went, wow, that would be great. What do you play? And I said, I'll play the keyboards. So they said, do you want to look at it? And I said, no, I'm fine. I said, I'll set it up during the break. So when you go for your break, when you come back,
It's ready.
I'll just walk on. I said, I'll have the drummer. I don't need anything else. And then I'll just call my mum and dad onto the floor to dance, you know. And so I did that. And of course, they had tears in their eyes. I had tears in my eyes, things like that. So
I can feel you getting emotional now thinking about it.
Yeah. So I was 17 at the time, just about, I think. So I played. And the keyboard player in the band looked at me in shock. And he said...
Were you self-taught?
No, I had proper
lessons.
lessons. I was proper educated. And so he said, wow, you're an incredible player. Amazing. How old are you? I said, 17. He went, I've been playing for 20 years and you're way better than I am. How do you do that? And I said, I just practice a lot, you know,
Yeah.
it's what I like. So I came off the stage, and then a guy comes over to me and he said, I'm a music agent. Would you like me to fix up some gigs for you? And I said, no, I'm not interested. I just play at home. And he said, no. He said, I can instantly, from tomorrow, I can get you working 3 nights a week. Now, bear in mind, when I was an engineer, up a ladder, in the snow, electric shock, £7.91 per week. He said, I'll pay you £40 a night, 3 nights a week. I said, let me think about that for a moment.
I'll take it.
So I went to speak with my dad, and he said, well, it's up to you. I would suggest you finish your qualifications first and get fully qualified so you have your papers to fall back on, which I did. So I used to be the engineer during the day, and then at night time I used to go out playing.
Serious money.
Earning serious money, earning proper money. Then I thought, well, there's no point to this electrical engineering job anymore. There's just no point.
Did you do events like weddings and pubs and so? Did you work for a band?
Bear in mind now, let me take you back in time. We're going back now to 1977. CD had not yet been invented. So if you went to a nightclub and you were a singer, you didn't have any backing tracks to take with you. You bought music, and you had to give that music to the live musician who's play for you. That was
you
me.
were the live.
Yeah. So I used to go all over the UK playing nightclubs for singers and backing cabaret and things
Was it
like
just
that.
one singer or various singers? It doesn't matter. You played the music.
Yeah, whoever turned up, I'd just play. Yeah. So that
I
exposed
guess you were
me.
reliable as a kid. They could trust you that you'll turn up. So I can feel it. Yeah.
But my dad used to take me everywhere anyway at that age. Yes. And then when I was 18, I thought I need to leave the electrical business behind. Then I became a professional musician then. So during the day I used to sell them, and then at night go play. So I would be playing 8 or 10 hours a day, every day. So you get to be pretty good.
Do you still play?
No, not played for 30 years now.
But I bet you could just play if you wanted to.
I bet I couldn't.
Really? You feel this now? Why did you stop?
All right, so let me complete the story now. Sure. What happens? So during the day I used to sell them. So 1979 now. This was a pivotal change in my life. Everything upside down and inside out. I was working in Birmingham city centre in a shop that sold keyboards, organs, pianos, guitars, things like this. And I heard this Porsche turn up outside of the store, you know, the engine, roar, and it was a black Porsche 911 Targa, like my dream car. And this guy walks in, and he said, hello, and I said, hi, how can I help you today? And he said, I'd like to look at something really special in an electric organ, keyboard. What do you have? Now, at that time, Technics, or National Panasonic, had just revolutionized the music industry. So it was the first time you could record an instrument and it would be faithfully portrayed on a keyboard. It was phenomenal. Now, let me put this into context. We lived in a council house, and the price of that council house was £2,000. This keyboard I was showing him was £4,000. And we couldn't afford to buy the house at £2,000. So it was, wow. And I think the most money I'd seen at that stage was about £200 or £300, something, that kind of context. Yeah. So this brand new Technics U90 was the keyboard that came out. So I played it for him. He said, wow, that's amazing. I'll take it. And I said, okay. So I'll call him Dave, because that's his name. So I said, Dave, we have one request. And he said, well, I have a request too. And he said, I'd like you to deliver it for me on Monday. So we're now on Thursday. I'd like you to deliver it to my house on Monday. I set it up for me and play some music in my home. And that's not an unusual request for something of that kind of price. So I said, yes, that's no problem, but we have a request too, Dave. We need cleared funds before we deliver. He said, that's okay, no problem. I'll pop in on Saturday. So he jumps in his black 911 Targa, drives away into the sunset. He comes back on Saturday. He comes with a Tesco's bag, tips out £4,000. I'm like, oh my goodness me, this is twice the price of my house. What do I do with this? So I called the boss on the place, and he very quickly arrived and took the money away, as you can imagine.
Security. Yeah, with security, like, what's this guy, yeah?
Yeah. So Monday comes.
Did you get any commission for the sale?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
£1.
So Monday comes, and I deliver this keyboard to his home. And it's a private road with video to open the gates. This is 1977.
Very, yes.
This is like James Bond territory, you know? So we drive down this archway, through the archway, down the drive, and it opens up the double doors to his house. Never in my life have I ever seen anything like it. So he says, hey Jeff, bring it through to the east wing. This guy's house was U-shaped. So we took it through to the east wing, set it up for him. And I remember when we walked through his doors, first of all, my feet sank into the carpet.
And quality of things.
Yeah, and I'd never experienced that before. I thought, wow. And it was beautifully decorated. And it was my first ever exposure
of wealth.
Of wealth, yes, absolutely. So I played for him for a couple of hours, went away. And he was really old.
I was going to say, how old was he?
He was really old. He was about 45.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I feel great now.
Yeah.
So he's dead now. He's dead and buried.
17 or 18 at the time, you recall. So this is what happened. My life changed at that point.
Was he? What was he? What did he do?
I don't know what he did.
I
don't know what he did. So, I can't remember what he did.
Yeah.
It's probably more accurate.
You couldn't Google him, could you?
No. So this question, burning desire, and it has been my whole life. How is it that this guy, as old as he was, has obviously made a considerable amount of money? And here's my dad, who's a very, very clever engineer, solved lots of problems the world over, made some interesting stuff, and he has no money. It's not that he made money and couldn't manage it.
Just never made money.
It just never made money. What's the difference then between someone who's intelligent enough to be rewarded but isn't, and then there's someone else who's clearly made a lot of money? So my first question was, how does a millionaire become a millionaire? That was my starting point. So I formally interviewed 325 millionaires over the next 15 years. Now, bear in mind, I was exposed to cabaret and a lot of famous people. So I was meeting lots of famous people like Lenny Henry and lots and lots. So once I found out the formula for success, what I actually discovered over this period, over about 15 years, was there are 11 things that successful people do in common. Now, some of them are aware of these 11 steps. Some people are aware of some of the 11 steps, and some people are just not aware. They just do it. But they do these 11 things. So I thought, well, if I do these 11 things, I don't have to follow the path of my father and the rest of my family. I can follow the path of my choice. Then the question changed. It wasn't how does a millionaire become a millionaire? It came much broader to be how does a successful person become successful? Because success is not always attributed to wealth, right?
Sure.
So whatever you want in your life, I then started surveying a much wider field of people to understand what success they'd had in their life and how they'd achieved it. You know what was amazing? The same 11 steps were there each time.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I want to know about this. But before that, you were young. You were 17, 18, sending out letters. You send letters, right? How did you find out about these 300 odd millionaires? What letter did you send them? Because there's people listening to us thinking, what was this magic letter that they gave in the audience?
Sure.
Would you like to share that with us?
Sure. The bulk of people, I would just meet them. So I speak at conferences now, and I meet lots of famous people, lots of celebrities.
No, when you started searching before, when you were 17.
Yeah, so I was back in cabaret. So I was meeting then lots of famous people, lots of famous singers, so I was exposed to them. Wow. And then they would have friends, and I'd say, oh, you know Bob Monkhouse, or you know Ken Dodd, or you know... And then I'd get to meet these people later on as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then you literally interviewed them, right?
Yeah.
And they were fine sharing their
absolutely.
knowledge.
Yeah,
amazing. Because most people, they have a fear of rejection, so they don't go out there looking.
Yeah. So it's not personal questions like how much you're worth and things like that, and how did you do it. It's more about the mindset of how they think about their life.
And before that, you never had any personal development, interest in personal development? Did you read books or nothing? So that was the trigger you needed to go into.
So that was the beginning of the journey. Then, if we fast forward in time to around, I'd be about 30 years old then. So about 1990, something like that. I had a job where I used to drive 40,000 miles a year. So I left. Let me just fill in the blank there, because you think, oh, what happened next?
Yeah,
then?
I'll send you back.
So I got to 23, and I was offered a job on the cruise liners as a musician. So you're away for 16 weeks, and I thought, I don't really want to be away from home 16 weeks. Come back, then find another contract. I thought, and I lost my passion for music. It became a job. So what I used to love, I didn't love anymore. It was a work and it was a job I no longer enjoyed. The money didn't matter. So I gave it all up. I quit. And I was still living at home at the time. I was 23. And I went home one day and I said, Dad, I've had enough. And he said, so what are you going to do then? Because you can't sit here on your ass. You need to go out and get a job and earn some money. I said, yeah, of course. But first, I'm just going to take a break. I'm just exhausted. So I had a break for 2-3 weeks. And then I just opened the newspaper and I thought, I don't know what I want to do. I just want something to occupy my mind for a couple of months until I know what I want to do.
Yes.
And there was a job advertised for a car salesperson. £50 a week, the rest is commission. Off you go. And I thought, that will just keep me occupied. So I did that, and then here I am then at the top of the industry in a number of years.
So you were 23, going to the car sales industry.
Yeah.
And what made you a successful 23-year-old car salesman?
I think because I'd been working with lots of famous people, my rapport skills was really, really good. So you're still young at 23, you're still a young boy really. And I had the ability to converse with adults and older people at their level, yes, absolutely, and in confidence as well. So
it was trust. They trusted you, they liked you.
Yeah. Those two things are key ingredients, aren't they? Trust and like.
Sure. At that time, were you seeking to find out the keys to success? Or?
Yes, because the journey started when I was 18.
Wow.
So then I was
maybe
thinking,
some of that input helped as well, right? Because
no doubt about it. So then I started, well, what makes a good salesperson a good salesperson? What does the most successful salesperson do? So I researched those things. Guess what? Those 11 steps are there. So 2 years, I did really, really well. I get promoted to be a sales manager. Guess what happened? I started studying the best sales managers. Guess what? The same 11 steps. So I just continually applied it. Then after 2 years, I got promoted to be a general manager. So I was the youngest general manager in the UK, looking after
which brand?
It was a Renault dealership.
Wow.
So we had sales, service, parts, body shop. Quite a large organisation.
You enjoyed it. You found it.
I loved it. So I did that for 2 years, and then I hadn't quite found it yet. I hadn't. Whilst I enjoyed that and loved it, the owner came to me one day and he said, "I want to give you another dealership, so you run 2, and you'll be a director now." And I said, "Okay." And this is where my real journey into key performance indicators really began. It began when I was a sales manager to understand the sales team and what they were doing. Then when I became general manager, I needed to understand service department, parts department, body shop. So I created all the key performance indicators. But when you have more than one business to run and you're not on site the whole time, there's spinning plates everywhere. And you have to know at the end of the day what's happening in each area. So that was really what made the difference me and the rest. I thought everybody else used key performance indicators. I didn't know it was just me. So then I did really well, won awards with franchises and all the trips abroad and these things. Then I had 3 dealerships. Then I was looking after 10 dealerships.
Were you single at the time?
No, I was married. So I got married at the age of 26, so 1986.
So you were juggling a lot of plates, juggling marriage, juggling business.
Yeah, well, if we rewind the story a little, go back to 1977, I bought the car and I had enough.
The 911?
No. You remember I had enough petrol to go see my girlfriend?
Yes. She was the girlfriend?
I married her, yeah.
No,
and we've been married now for 33 years, yeah.
Congratulations.
First
Do you have children?
Yeah, I have 2 girls. So the youngest one has just left home now, so we're trying to get to grips with empty nest syndrome. So beautiful girls, and they're both daddy's girls, of course.
Oh, congratulations.
So awesome. And they have their own careers. They're doing really well. I'm really proud of them.
So did your mom and dad's house improve as your life improved?
No. My mum died 2 years after we got married.
Which was when?
1988. So we got married in 86. She died. She had cancer in 1988. So then my dad was left alone. So he was alone for a couple of years. Then he met another lady. He got married. Wonderful, great. He passed away 2010, and she's still going strong. She's just 92 now.
Wow.
So we still take care of her and
so
help
she
her with
became your second mom in a way.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's so nice.
Yeah.
So, still in the Midlands?
Yes.
So your home base is still the Midlands?
Still the Midlands, yes.
But you travel a lot?
I do. So...
And you travel alone? Your wife doesn't come with you, right?
Well, the idea, Dariush, was when the girls are younger, my wife just wanted to be a mom. And I can't leave my girls. I don't want to leave them with the grandmother. And So I'm going to be at home. Later on, when they're older, when they go to university, then it would be nice to come travel with you. That would be my ultimate, you know. I think she's come on 3 trips now. Twice to Dubai and once to Miami. That's it.
Wow. Wonderful. So the 11, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes it's not easy sharing personal
Sure.
information, so I hope I haven't been prying too much.
No, not at
But
all. Not at
because
all.
we've known each other for a while, but I didn't
Yeah.
know all these details.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. The 11th, would you like to share with us the 11 things that successful people have in common?
Well, what I did, I'll tell you a story about the 11 steps.
Please.
When I share the first step, most people can't do it. So I'll come back to that in a moment. But over the years, I developed these 11 steps, and they're built into my family. So I don't say, this is step 1, this is step 2. It's kind of our way of life. So my girls now are both real high achievers. And of course, it's no coincidence. And now and again, they might say, oh, yes, do this, you know,
Yes.
like money. Always invest the principal amounts and spend the interest, not the principal. Don't spend on depreciating assets and things like that. So they mention these things as a joke, but it's within their DNA
So you were doing
now.
all this before Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Oh yeah, way before.
Wow.
And then it came time for my daughters to leave home, and I thought, I want to give them something. When they put their foot over the step to say, bye-bye, this is a new life now, I want to give them something. So when they're in that moment of darkness and think, what should I do? What would my dad say? So I created a graphic, a picture, and that's my coat of arms, which has now become my company logo.
Yeah, I know.
And that company logo contains, it's all coded, it looks like a coat of arms, but it's completely coded with 11 steps and the 8 guiding principles for life.
Wow.
That's all in there. Yeah, fascinating.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you fit it all in?
Fits all what in?
Everything that you do, all the traveling, or the creativity, the books. How many books have you written now?
I've published 7, and right now I'm writing 4 simultaneously, so by 2020 it'll be 11.
So every night you write 1 chapter, or how do you discipline yourself to?
No, I don't write like that. I have a phase I call book mode, and it probably takes me a year to get my head ready to say, I've got enough space cleared around my life. I can sit down and think nothing else but about what I'm going to write. So,
Four simultaneously?
yeah, there's a reason for that though, because I'm creating an international worldwide qualification for the automotive industry. It doesn't have any. So if we look at sales manager, service manager, parts manager, body shop manager, general managers, owners, directors, there's nothing to say that they're competent. So over the last 15 years, I've based it on 3 questions. So let's take a sales manager, used car sales manager. What do they need to know and do in order to be recognized at an international level as competent to do that job? So we do a certificate, is do you know what you need to know? Then there's a diploma, so you've proven that you know, now prove that you know how to apply. And then the master's is, okay, have you done it?
And this is like a course they have to attend? Or?
Well, I originally set it up as an awarding body because lots of manufacturers do their own courses and lots of research you can do online. But as one of the most well-known people for training in automotive industry, everybody said, well, Jeff, I want to do that, but I want to do the training with you. I want the whole thing.
Yeah, and also independent, right?
Absolutely, independent.
And also you got the best of all worlds.
That's right, yes. The nice thing about that, Dariush, is that whilst you might have franchise dealerships who do their own training through their OEMs,
Yes.
you have the small independents who don't get exposed to the best practices.
No support,
Nothing. And I thought, I want to reach out to them and have them included.
What are the numbers? How many dealerships are there in authorized dealerships in the UK, and how many small dealerships are there? Or small resellers?
I think that's classified, and if I told you, I'd have to kill you and eat you. But to give you some idea, so we're in Dubai today. How many Porsche dealers are in Dubai?
One.
Okay. In England and Wales and Scotland, which is not very big, 34.
That's amazing.
And they're 5 miles away
just
from
one
each
brand.
other. Yeah, just one brand. So it's 34. If you look at a volume brand like Peugeot, you're much closer to 400. So the level of competition is huge. You've really got to be good at everything in order to survive. So in terms of business management and how the business runs, I think because of that very high level of competition in the UK has emerged to be the top in the world, the best in the world.
Because they don't have the distance, they're all next to each other, high
absolutely.
population.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, amazing. So you're writing 4 books?
Yeah, 4 books. And the idea here, so the best-selling book I've done is called the KPI book. And that covers sales, service parts, body shop, sales
that's
process.
the first book I read.
Yeah, that's it. That covers everything. But if you're just a sales manager, you only want 20% of that book, and the rest of it you won't use. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take that book. So if you imagine it as an album in the old days, like a pop group used to release an album, then they'd release singles. The books I'm releasing now, the 4 books, are like singles from the album.
You pick the titles or sections and then you enhance them.
Yes. So the KPI book is everything within a dealership, everything within a business, the whole. And then I'll pick out the section that says sales manager. So we have all the KPI information. And then the red book, the one that's on management accounts, I'll just take out the sales manager part. So we put those together. So I've done that for sales, service parts, body shop and everything. But then I'm adding to it also to put some best practice initiatives in. So it's the ultimate book then for each of the managers, which form the foundations of the qualification. So they become certified in that role and to be proven competent.
Is the next step to go to the manufacturers and get some kind of authorization from them, or they're not going to do it?
Okay, they all want it. So I went to one very well-known, well, they're all well-known, but one very big manufacturer, and they said, can we brand this as our own?
Yes.
I said, no, absolutely not. And the reason is because what I've done is to look at the core skills of a sales manager, and it doesn't matter whether you're in Porsche, Mercedes, Benz, Rolls, the core skills are the same. And I didn't want it to be a political tool.
Yes.
So the core skills are the same. So it doesn't matter whether you work in Dubai, whether you work in Thailand, or anywhere else in the world. The things you need to know and do are the same.
You mentioned some top brands, Mercedes,
Yep.
Porsche, and I know you work with Rolls-Royce and Bentley. Now, your methods don't have to be a high-end product, because I know in sales some people say, well, it's okay, you got rich clients.
Yes.
But it doesn't make a difference, does it?
No, not at all. No.
To be successful at sales, it's just a method.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about, I'm still wanting
You want to know the 11 steps.
Yeah, exactly. Does it come in
Okay.
order of priority?
Yeah, it's sequential. I'm not going to tell you all 11. I'm just going to tell you one, because most...
You've got to tell us 10, wanting one.
well-
You tell us 1 and wanting 10,
You
right?
see, if I had my coat of arms here, I could show you. So maybe we'll do that later.
Sure.
Or maybe on another time where we can show it
Love to-
on the
love to
screen
hear.
as well.
For the listeners, can you give them 2 or 3 of those
Yeah.
skills?
So
that
the
they can pick
first
up
one,
on?
the first one is the difference between a successful person and, let me say, someone else. A successful person will know what they want. And
Sense of purpose.
not necessarily a sense of purpose. They'll know what they want. So, for instance, I could say to many people, what do you want? And they'll say, I want to earn more money.
I want to be rich.
Not necessarily rich. I say, I want to earn more money. And I say, okay, I'm going to make your dreams come true. I'll put my hand in my pocket, I'll take out a coin, I'll give it to them, I'll say, there you are. You now have more money. They go, oh, I wanted more than that. And I said, oh, but you were not specific, were you? So the thing is with successful people, they are
specific.
unbelievably specific. So it's a non-successful person will be, I want more money. Well, how much is that? I don't know. Where a successful person will say, I want $1 million. And the evidence will be, I want to see $1 million printed on my bank statement on June the 9th, 2023. That's the difference.
You've realised that some of it's not. Some of it's self-taught. Some of it's within them. Some of them have seeked it and learned it, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Which one's the most common? Which one's the most popular? Like, because I've met people who have that within them, right?
Yes.
Somehow their DNA, their energies.
Yes.
What do you think that is? Why is it some people have it and some people don't? Is it exposure?
This conversation could go real wide now, couldn't it? So, 7 billion people on the planet, and each of us is unique. None of us are the same. And I think there's a reason for that, which has enabled our survival as a species. So no matter what problem befalls mankind, there's always someone somewhere who has the answer. So I think we're each born with something. We can say it's a purpose, if you will. So that's what I think in its broadest sense.
But not all of them have the same values, right?
I learned very early on. There's this thing called integrity, right?
Yes.
We all have it, but very different levels. Very different levels of integrity. So,
because poor people say money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are bad people, but not necessarily true.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely
most
not.
of the rich people I know, they're really good people.
Yeah. I know some really rich people who are really not very nice.
Yes.
Have you heard of the singer Tom Jones? Why Am I Delilah? Do you know any of his songs? Can you sing any?
Of course.
Can you sing any? I'm not going to put you on the spot.
I know you said Delilah. I know Delilah. Yeah, a few.
Okay. So
yes.
I'm 12 years
Kiss.
old.
That was Prince, wasn't it?
He did it though as well.
Yeah, Kiss.
Yeah, but wind back all the way back now. I say I'm the white sheep of our family. So wind back 1972. Tom Jones he's famous now. And one of the most famous interviews in the world, Michael Parkinson, was interviewing him on TV. Okay. And it changed my life again, another profound moment in my life. I'm 12 years old. So Michael Parkinson is sitting there and he said, Tom, you've done okay. You've obviously made a lot of money. And Tom Jones sits and he nods and he says, yeah, I've done all right. And so then Michael Parkinson said, so this money, has it changed you? And then what Tom Jones said had such a profound effect upon me as a 12-year-old boy, it changed my life. Here's what he said. Money doesn't change people. It allows them to be the person who they really are.
Who
they really are.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if someone's poor and they have to go to work and they have to earn money and they have to have a job,
they can't be themselves, right?
They can't be themselves. And then when they get money, some people are nice, some people are not very nice. So money doesn't change people, it allows them to be the person who they really are.
So nice people become nicer?
Absolutely, yeah. And I thought, wow. And that has stuck with me from being a 12-year-old boy.
It's amazing. But you had a TV then, so I'm quite impressed.
Yeah.
We didn't have a TV in 72.
Yeah, it was one of these TVs where you had to put money in the back and turn, it was half a crown. It was on a meter.
Really?
And it was always on
my electrics in my house were like that, 50p, and then halfway in the middle of, I don't know, Magnum P, I'm looking around the house with 50p meters. But the funny thing is, I remember my family, they used to have a film. And because the TVs were black and white, and the film had like yellow and blue.
That's
and
right.
We'll stick it on the window, on the screen. It was like, oh, we got color TV now.
Yeah.
It was yellow and blue.
Yeah,
do you remember those? Yeah.
We couldn't afford one of those, Dariush.
Sure.
I saw one.
We went to next door neighbours.
Yeah.
They had one. Amazing. I used to think little people were in the back of the TV.
Yeah.
They had loads of cowboys running around the back. I used to look around for cowboys in the back of the TV.
You know, this is interesting.
I was 20 then.
This one's not a joke, and this one stayed with my life. Primary school, I'm 5 years old. And the teacher says, we're going to do an experiment in the morning with ice and water. Can you all bring some ice cubes in, please? So next day, every boy and girl brings in a bag of ice cubes, apart from me. So the teacher said,
Where's your ice?
Jeff, have you not bought any ice? I said, Miss, I'm sorry, we don't have a fridge.
Wow.
And that was the first time I started looking around and thinking, wow,
Comparing.
am I poor?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've never thought I was poor, ever. As I said, I think poor is a state of mind, broke is a state of pockets. You know.
I was 7,
Yeah.
and they said I had a music talent.
Yeah.
And we went to back in Iran, and we went to this college. I was being put through tests, and people were being eliminated. So I got to whatever, I didn't think anything, and they played a tune, and I had to tap to it, and I remembered it. It was just blown away. And they gave me a scholarship.
Wow.
For piano.
Wow.
And I was everybody's hero for days, and then they cancelled it because we didn't have a piano at home. So from like being 7 and being like
that was my dad's story. The same story with the violin.
Yeah, and I was just begging my family, said, please buy a piano. We couldn't afford a piano.
Yeah. That was my dad's story. Exactly the same, but with violin. And then I didn't ask to play music. My dad started playing music. Right. So he bought a keyboard for home. He had a number of lessons, and I would just sit on the stairs and watch. And then when the teacher went, I would go down and I would play. Wow. And he said, well, you're better than me. You just carry on. So he lived his music life through me.
Amazing. You were very close.
Yeah, very close. Yeah. I love my mum and dad. They're awesome.
I can feel it. I can feel it. So sales, you love sales.
Yeah.
But KPIs is not sales really, it's management.
Well, when you're in business, you want to understand what's going on. And I think most people really misunderstand KPI, key performance indicators. They see them in general as measurements and targets to be hit. And I've seen some people, get upset with their employees and beat them over the head, and
because they're not hitting
completely
targets.
wrong.
Yeah.
For me, key performance indicators, they're not answers at all. They're very intelligent questions. So whether you're looking in sales or any aspect of your business, the key performance indicator and the benchmark or baseline is there to say, here's the expectation.
Yes.
Where are you in relation to this expectation?
Yes.
And why?
Yes.
What's causing it? Because life is about cause and effect.
Sure.
Key performance indicators are effects, and they get you to question the causes that generate the effects or the results that you want in your life.
Yes.
And I think when you view KPI in that way, rather than a target to be hit, then they're far more useful and a more intelligent business tool.
Indeed. The first book I read, which opened my mind to KPIs, was E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Okay.
And he was talking about consistently systems and measuring things. I read it, I thought it's mind-blowing. I was running a business that was like Uncle Sam's kebab shop.
Yeah.
While I should have been running a business like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Okay. But where I failed was where nobody came and told me how to. Mm-hmm. I didn't know the hows. Does that make sense? I realized the problem. So if somebody wants to read your book, they love it, how can they implement it? Who can implement it? Because the owner doesn't have the time, or he says he hasn't got the time. How do they do it? Do they come approach you? Do you have a school or a consultancy?
What used to frustrate me many years ago, people would come up to me and say, Jeff, you need to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And they'd tap me on the shoulder, turn and walk away. And I say, well, how do I do that then? Mm-hmm. And for me, key performance indicators do that because they ask intelligent questions. So if you think about the 11 steps, step 1 is, what do you want? Once you know what you want, you think about, well, what are the causes that are responsible for getting what I want? And 2 of those causes will relate to an effect, and that will be a key performance indicator. So it's about understanding what you want and then putting the right measures to create your own chart and course for the journey that you're on. So a ship would never leave the dock without a chart and course. Yet we
Why do you
often
lead
go to
your
work
life, with that?
and do stuff and just hope we get to some destination somewhere by the end of the day. So most are like a rudderless ship, whereas key performance indicators provide you with the rudder and the steering wheel and the wind in your sails.
So if somebody wants to use those practices, the right practices, where do they go? How do they do it?
It depends what they want to achieve, of course.
Let's say I want efficiency out of my company.
Okay.
And I know I've got inefficiencies.
Okay.
I know my designers take too long to come up with the process. I know that the brief between my client to the account manager isn't good enough, and it's passed down, diluted, and process take longer. So that quality of work suffers.
Yeah. So if you know all that, but you don't know how to fix all that, then I would suggest you contact somebody who can help you with that. There's no panacea for all that ails you, because key performance indicators
Across the board
are key. They're key. They're very, very bespoke and unique. You don't have one silver bullet that fits all. I mean, you mentioned the word efficiency. Efficiency can mean so many different things. So it's about understanding what you want and then selecting the right ones for it. So it's someone, look for a coach who can help you in that specific area. But before you hire someone, step one, you must know what you want. Don't leave it up to a coach. Okay. What frustrates me with training, I mean, I'm here in Dubai doing training courses. The number one frustration, people pay money, they pay a lot of money, they turn up, and I say, great, we're going to have a couple of days together. What do you want? What do you want to learn? What do you want to know? And they haven't thought about it. And I'm thinking, how can that be? How can you pay thousands of pounds to come and sit in a room and you don't know what you want from me? It's insane. So what I'm really saying is, there's the parallel for your company as well, is to really understand what you want and then find the best person to help you in the way that you want to be helped.
I think one of my I've hired coaches, but actually I end up coaching them.
Yep, there you go.
And I pay for the pay for the service. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. How do you qualify the right coach?
What do you want? Step one in the process of all processes, what do you want? If you can tell me what you want, then I'll be able to help you. If you can't tell me what you want, no one is going to help you.
Do you do coaching anymore?
I do.
Wow. So what does Jeff's day look like? What do you do? What time do you wake up? What time do you go to bed? How much is Jeff time? How much is client time? How much is writing time?
Okay.
Are you disciplined with your days?
I'm disciplined when I write. So I go into book mode and I clear everything away, and I give myself a month or two to write. I am quite disciplined. However, some days I can write 200 words and it'll be just junk and go, and I just can't get to the point I want to. And other days I can write 8,000 or 10,000 words. It just
Flows.
just comes, just flows. Yeah. So I
what-
don't
what
know
is your-
what causes that. I'm yet to unravel that.
So I know you fly.
I fly, yeah.
And where do you find it? Like, tell me how you balance it all. And you're a great husband and you're a great father. You travel.
Yeah.
No, seriously, how do you fit it all in? Because when I've known Jeff for a while now, and I don't get how, and you're good at everything you do, in my opinion. You're great at what you do. You know,
Thank you very
it's not
much.
easy.
Yeah, that's a family joke. My daughters, it's, oh, you're brilliant at whatever you do. How do you do what you do?
And you are.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. But I'm selective on what I do. That's probably the secret to it. But flying.
Because you know what you want.
I know what I want. Absolutely right.
What do you want from flying?
Flying. Can you remember your very first, earliest desire in life? Can you remember what it was?
Riding a bike.
Okay. So you'd not ridden a bike yet, and your desire was,
I want to jump on that bike and go.
I want to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Mine was, I want to fly a helicopter. So I'd be 3 years old at the time.
Wow.
And I couldn't shake it off, and it stayed with me my whole life. So coming from the family background, university was never ever on the radar or anything like that. So then being a helicopter pilot in the force is just never on the radar.
Yes.
So it was never to be. Then I did well, got married, made money. My wife bought me one of these trial lessons in a helicopter for £99 at the local airfield. And I went to fly it, and I could fly it. And the instructor said, "Oh, you've flown these before then?" I said, No, never. This is the first time I've ever been in one. And he said, "Oh, you're kidding me. You're ace at this." I said, "Yeah, I bet you say that to all the boys." And he said, No. You can really fly this thing. So you have to use 4 limbs. But as a keyboard player, I'm using 4 limbs and reading 3 lines of music. So I'm quite used to moving my limbs independently and thinking in that way. So, but then the cost of a helicopter is horrific. So I just couldn't justify it. So I thanked my wife for the trial lesson, and then we just carried on in life. But, you know, about 3 or 4 times a week, my dream would be flying. My whole life, 3-4 times a week I'd be flying. Can't explain it. So then, fast forward 10 years. So I get to about 45 now, something. I think I'm going to go to that airfield and I'm going to fly the helicopter again. So I did that. He said, "Wow, you can fly this thing." So then a couple of years later, a friend came along who is a pilot in a fixed wing, and he flew to this airfield. We had lunch together there, and he said, "Instead of a 2-seater helicopter, let's both go up in a 4-seater. So you'll have a half an hour, I'll have half an hour, so we'll enjoy it." So
My first question is, what do? You change seats or you can hand it over?
no, you land and change seats.
You're midair. Yeah, midair. What do? Just climb over my knees and I'll push it.
Yeah, so the instructor and you sit in the front,
Okay.
and then I was sitting in the
see.
back. And then we land and then swap on. Yeah. So we did that. So as a pilot and a fixed-wing pilot, he couldn't fly this helicopter.
But you could.
So I get in and I can fly this helicopter. And he's like, "Wow."
But the
and I
basics of
landed
the
it.
pedals and the hands still the same. You still need to coordinate over. As you go up the helicopter, does it get any easier? Still, you need to.
Helicopter's more difficult to fly than a fixed wing. Fixed wing's really quite easy. All you have to do is land and take off. The flying is quite simple.
Okay.
Where a helicopter, you have to fly it. You can't leave it.
No matter what size the helicopter is, you're still using the same device.
Yeah. So I've got this urge to fly. I can afford to do it now, but I can't justify it because my wife doesn't want to fly. She'll fly in the A380.
Is this your dialogue at 45 or now?
That was 45.
No,
when I was 45.
Yeah, but you have your own.
Yeah, there's a different story.
Oh, I see,
So
okay.
we need to fast forward. We'll catch up
I
with
see.
that.
So this is the dialogue you were having when you were 45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the cost of a helicopter is horrific. So you're looking at $500,000,
Yes.
$50,000 servicing,
Yes.
and you haven't flown it yet. And then to fly it, the fuel burn is horrendous. So you fly it to Scotland 2 hours. It's like a family holiday, and I'm like, there's no way I can justify that. I just can't justify it. So people then have syndicates and have 4, 5, 6 people sharing, and I thought, I really don't want to do that either. So I left it. So then we go forward then to 2015, not so long ago. I'm thinking, well, I can't fly a helicopter or can't justify the cost of flying a helicopter, but I want to fly something. Because I want to semi-retire and something to plug the gap. So a new challenge, because again, a pilot's license is not easy, you've got your exams, and then it's something to do on a nice day, go flying. So I thought I'll have a look at a microlight or something. So I went onto Google, as you do, looked on this website, and there was this thing called a gyrocopter that looks like a helicopter. And I thought, wow, what is this? And this thing had just been invented,
It looks amazing.
It does, yeah. So it looks like a helicopter. It's all enclosed.
Half plane, half helicopter. It's
Yeah.
really,
It's awesome. So I found out where the importer was, and it was an hour and a half from my home. So I picked up the phone. Do you have one of these in stock? And they said, yeah. I said, I'm coming over. And I was at home at the time. So I put my coat on.
Yes.
And my wife said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to look at an aircraft." And my wife said, "Oh no." She said, "This is not going to go away, is it?" And I said, my first desire is to fly a helicopter.
Don't hold me back on 30 years of marriage.
I said, and she wouldn't, and she never
joking.
has. She's fantastic. I don't even have to say anything, you know. So I went to have a look, and I saw it.
Where he gets them from, right?
Yeah. So, I went to have a look, and I just thought, wow, that's for me. That's for me. And the price of it, Dariush, is like buying a car.
Yes.
It's not like buying a helicopter.
Yes. A very expensive car, but yes, I know what you mean.
The maintenance is the same as a car. Fuel burn, same fuel. Fuel burn, same as a car. So,
amazing.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
And inside, it's closed, right? And is it like insulated? Is it noisy?
It is noisy, but you have a special headset with noise reduction on there. So with a microphone, so you're talking.
It sounds stupid. So you can't have the stereo on.
Yes, you can.
You can have the stereo on.
And I do that when I'm on my own. Yeah.
Really?
I put my phone and Bluetooth it to the headset,
You're
put some music on, and then go. But you have to turn it off when you speak to air traffic control.
Sure, you can't have the Beatles on.
Yeah.
So, Tom Jones. So, how far have you travelled? You gone to Scotland?
Yeah. So here's an interesting one.
With your wife?
No, my wife has been in it once, and she was absolutely terrified. She will go in it again at some point, but I tricked her into it, and
she didn't like it. Do you feel turbulence and movement a lot because it's smaller?
If in a small fixed-wing aircraft, you would.
Yes.
You bop up and down.
Yes.
Where in this you don't, because the rotors are not connected to an engine. They go around all by themselves. So they absorb all of the turbulence and airflow. So you're just sitting nice and smooth and quiet underneath. It's phenomenal, yeah.
How many of these exist in the UK?
Of the model that I have, I believe there's something in the order of about 35.
That's all.
But there are others worldwide. There's one here in Dubai.
And then where do you keep it? You store it in your garage? You fold the thing
in a trailer too? This airfield where I went to do the trial flight for it, there. So it's an old World War II Air Force base. So we have a hangar there, and we have 5 gyros in there just for us. Nice modern hangar, so it's all nice and clean. So we just go whenever we want and go fly.
Let's say you're near the airport. Do you have to let the airport know that you're in the air, or how do they not bump into another airline?
Okay, it's a lot more serious than that.
Yeah.
So one day, for instance, you say, do I go to Scotland? I live in the middle of the country, so to drive to Scotland is 5-6 hours, something like that. To fly, I went out, I had breakfast one morning, I said to my wife, I'm going flying. She said, where are you going? She said,
Scotland.
I don't know yet, I haven't decided. I get to the airfield and I think, I'm going to Scotland. So he now answers your question. So I have to call the airfield where I want to land and say, is it okay if I land with you today? Okay. And they say yes. So they take all of your aircraft information and everything like that. Now at the airfield where I am, I say, I'm going out today and I'm leaving here and I'm going to that airfield. So both air traffic controllers know what it is. On the aircraft, you have a thing called a transponder. So you know when you watch the movies and the radar screen is there and you get these beep, beep.
Yes.
It creates this, but it's got your name, address, your telephone number, your blood group, everything is on there. So when I take off, or when I'm out of the hangar and I want to taxi to the runway, I first have to speak to air traffic control. You have to have permission to do everything.
Of course.
And do that. So once I've taken off, then you're free.
So you get a permission prior to flying. Not when you're in the air, so like, which height can I go and all this, what's available? It's all pre-decided.
Well, the height that you can go, the maximum height is 10,000 feet.
Okay.
And that's not the limitation on any aircraft. That's the limitation on any non-pressurized aircraft. Because when a human being goes to 10,000 feet, we can breathe. At 12,000 feet, there is not enough oxygen there, and we're beginning to suffer from hypoxia. Yes. So 10,000 feet is the limit in a non-pressurized aircraft.
Because of the pressure. There's so stupid questions.
No.
On a normal airliner, there's pressure,
and
they pump oxygen.
That's right. Yeah.
Really?
It's all pumped in. Yeah.
So there's oxygen tanks on a normal airline.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And they filter all the air from outside. So if someone shot a gun, for instance,
Yes.
and it went through the body of the air,
Yes.
it would just shatter into pieces.
Because of the pressure.
It's all pressurized, yeah.
Huh. Amazing. Amazing. So you end up in Scotland.
So the funny
What
part.
if you go to Scotland and say, like, screw the, I want to land in a field?
No, the funny. I'll come to that one in a moment. The funny part. So I'd left home in the morning. I'm going flying. I don't know where. So this was 8:30. So I said 9 o'clock. I'll be wheels up. I said, what time are you coming home? And I said, I'll be home 5, 6 o'clock something. So 11 o'clock. I call her. So it's just 2 hours later.
You're in Scotland.
So she said, where are you? I said, I'm in Scotland. She said, you're in Scotland? It takes 6 hours to drive there. And I said, yes, but I'm flying at 100 miles an hour in a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
So straight through Manchester Airport, through where all the A380s are, all things. So you have to be careful.
Yeah,
So but you take exams for all of these things. You don't just jump in an aircraft and off you go.
Past other airports, you have to
Yeah,
let them know, right?
you speak to air traffic control. So you have a radio that's linked to your headset, and then you change the frequency to that air traffic controller, and you speak to that air traffic controller.
So you've constantly got to be aware of
Yeah,
what's going on.
you're
Right?
always
You can't
speaking
just
to
like
something.
go like, hey,
Yeah, that's right.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Autopilot and just chill.
It's not like driving. I was flying here to Dubai a few months ago, and I came business class, and I was upstairs on an A380 having a drink at the back at the bar, and there was a guy there, and I said, so what are you doing here? And he said, I'm going to Iraq. And I said, what are you going to do in Iraq? He said, I'm going to teach them about air traffic control. And I said, oh. I said, so the British are the best air traffic controllers in the world. Okay. And everyone speaks English around the world. It's universal language. And Greenwich Mean Time is the universal time clock around the world for flight. Mm-hmm. So he said, yes, I'm going to teach them. I said, where do you work? He said, Birmingham Air Traffic Control.
No.
Well, I'm 10 miles away when I take off.
Wow.
And I fly through Birmingham airspace twice a week.
Huh.
So when you do that, my call sign is Golf Sierra Juliet
He
Echo
recognises you.
Foxtrot. So he said, I work at Birmingham airspace. So I said, Golf Sierra Juliet Echo Foxtrot, request for transit. And he went, are you Jeff Smith? And I went,
You are
yeah.
joking.
How
You are
amazing was
joking.
that? Small world, huh?
Isn't it just? Wow.
Yeah, so to answer your question.
So how often do you fly?
Okay, the average private pilot does 30 hours a year. Mm-hmm. I do about 150 hours a year.
Okay.
So I like to fly whenever I can.
Amazing. And the weather, does it affect, like you said, pissing it down in England, which does often? You don't go? You still go?
I wouldn't take off in the rain. Okay. But if I'm caught in the rain, then you can fly through it.
Ever been a time when you're worried, like the wind's too high? Or because this is a light aircraft, isn't it? So, has there been a time you're thinking, this could be the day?
The thing is with a gyro is it feeds on the wind. So the windier it is, you're just using the wind to your favour. The engine is not connected to the rotors. Nothing is connected to the rotors.
So how do the rotors go around? You said you use the
wind.
air.
The wind.
And it's not a windy day?
Well, you know when you were a little boy, did you have a stick with a windmill on the end?
Yes.
And then you forced it into the wind and it goes around?
Yes.
That's the principle on which it works. So you start off by connecting it to the engine to start it off, and then you go along the runway and you force. Yeah, it's fabulous technology.
Amazing.
It
gyro.
Is. Yeah. Gyro. I'll take you one day.
Love to. I'll be honoured.
Yeah, I'll take you.
Thank you.
So, can you land anywhere? It's a bit like a car. Can you park anywhere? The answer is yes, providing you have permission.
Okay. So you can't park in any field. It's just farmers not around and just pick up and go.
I have actually done that. Yes. So when you think this is the day, what you can't do is fly without visibility. Okay. And I got caught in fog one day, and the fog was coming down, and I was down at 200 feet.
You couldn't see.
And I couldn't see. And you've got electric cables and things. So you're trained in all of these things.
Bring it down.
So I just landed it in a field, and I just waited for a couple of hours till it cleared, and then I took off and
Cool as a
get to
cucumber.
where I'd go. Yeah.
Do you have like sandwiches in the yeah, sandwiches and stuff?
Yeah, my wife is
Packs them
awesome
in.
for that. She
Oh,
puts
that's
them in a nice
gorgeous.
cool bag for me and
That's
makes sure
nice.
I'm okay.
That's nice. Amazing. Well, thank you. Now, KPIs.
Yeah.
Going back to KPIs. Where are you going with this, Jeff? What's your plan in the next couple of years? I know you say semi-retirement, but you're working harder than most people I know.
Write the books. I think we were talking earlier about some people have innate skills and things. I also think we each have a purpose. And for those of us who are fortunate enough to find our purpose, then work is not work at all, and life is good. I think my purpose was to write the KPI book. Now here's an interesting phenomenon. Because I was so interested in music at school, I was not interested in anything at school. I failed maths and English, and I've now written the best-selling book in the world on mathematics. How does that work?
Because you found your passion.
I found my passion, but also I think if I was educated to do it, it would have been too complex for the ordinary man to understand.
You made it simple.
So my superpower is clarity. I take something real complex and make it easy for anyone to understand. And one of my funny sayings is, if Edison had an MBA, he'd try and invent a larger candle.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I'm dyslexic, and I simplify things because I'm dyslexic.
Sure.
Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. So the answer to my question is, where's Jeff in year 2, 3 years down there?
I've not yet decided, which if you think about the 11 steps, what do you want?
Yeah.
Because life's it's a little unbalanced now with the girls leaving home, and our life is about our family. And now the girls are sorted. We have enough money to do what we want to on our own now. We had my wife and I had our first holiday together on our own a couple of weeks ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was lovely, and we're just finding each other now again. So we have to find a way to be man and wife again,
That's
rather
beautiful.
than a mum and dad.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so we're on that journey now. What does that mean for work? I've got myself a man cave now, so I've got myself an office, and I haven't had an office before because I'd travelled so much before.
Yes, hotel rooms and stuff. Would be your office.
So if I had an office, I would never be in it. So I would never be in the country. So I mean, the last count was 72 different countries I've spoken in, and I mean, I must have been to Dubai 50 times. So hundreds of different cities. So now I'm thinking I need to make some time for us, but also some time for me. So I fly. I also fly for a charity called Skywatch, Civil Air Patrol. So we observe and report for the emergency services. And they've just nominated me to be the CEO of that organisation and a trustee. So I feel very privileged and very proud. So at the moment, it's a lot of happy pilots with good intentions.
Yes.
No KPI in there.
So
guess what's coming?
Wow.
So I'm going to set it up like a business, so it's much more structured. And there's a career path for the pilots, observers and navigators, and help them and motivate and give them a reason to fly.
You said you did some consultancy. If I want to ask for your advice to come and fix my problems or my challenges in my business,
Yes.
how would I go about doing that? How do you decide how long it's going to take? What do you need from us? What we need from you? How does it work?
Well, whether it's you or anyone else.
Let's say me, because I do have pain.
I would sit down with you, and your first question would be, what do you want? Tell me about your pain. And my integrity here and my honesty here is the most important thing for me, because if you've got a problem and I don't think I'm the right person to help you, I will say, I can't help you. This is not about the money. But if I know what the problem is and I know how to fix it.
Yeah, I think I know what the problem is, but I just don't know how to measure it and make sure it's consistently measured.
Yeah, for instance, the largest dealer group in the UK is owned by a very famous person. And this famous person called me on the telephone and he said, Jeff, we've got a problem in our organisation. I don't know how to fix it. Would you be able to come and help us? And I said, I think so. I said, but the first thing is, I'll come up and meet with you and I'll find out what you want and what you think the problem is and what outcome you want. Mm. So he said, okay, let's book 2 days. And I said, oh, goodness me, no, it won't take 2 days. I said, it will take half a day maximum. He said, no.
My problem is huge.
It's going to be at least 2 days for you to understand. And I'm saying, if you want to book 2 days of time, let's book 2 days of time, and I'll reserve 2 days of time, but if I haven't got it sorted and with an answer in half a day, you'll be the first case in 30 years I've not been able to do that. Yeah. I said, I promise you it'll be sorted by midday. So he started laughing. And I said, I'm not here to take your money from you. So if I can do it, I will. So I flew up to meet him. And I didn't meet him, I met his...
second in command.
She gave me all the information. So by 10 o'clock we were sorted. So now we're just waiting for him to arrive at 1:30. Wow. And he arrived at 2 o'clock, by which time we'd put everything else in place. So he said, how are you getting on? I said, we were done by 10 o'clock.
Wow.
So
happy.
Yeah. So then I said, okay, now here's what you want to do. Here's what I recommend. Now, if you want to go this recommended path, I will help you. If you want to go another path, please find somebody else.
Amazing. And they utilize your services.
Yeah. I'm booked to go there now.
So how do we contact you? Somebody's listening to this and says, I need Jeff and his team. How?
Yeah, so Jeff Smith, so it's Jeff with a J, J-F-F. My website is jeff-smith.com. When I speak at conferences, people might not remember my name a couple of weeks afterwards, but as I'm talking about key performance indicators and stuff, it's, who was that guy? You know, the KPI guy?
Yes. So you're the KPI guy.
The KPI guy.
Amazing.
So,
amazing. Jeff, thank you so
much.
I hope you enjoyed this chat.
It's lovely.
And I want to do this again if that's okay with you.
Well, I tell you what, let's do a deal. I'd like to do it again, but role reversal. I'll interview you. Is that cool?
It'd be my pleasure.
Okay,
when are you here next?
That. I'm here at the end of September, early October.
End of September. I'm here. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay, we're on.
And then maybe reverse it again because there's so much more I want to find from you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I don't know how long you've been, but it's gone up really quickly. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Absolute
Dariush.
honor.
Pleasure.
Jeff, thank you, my friend.
Thank you
so much. See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Bye.